Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome to another edition of Shapeshifter. Just to give you some news, we are talking about conference. It happens 29th to 31st October at Gallagher Convention Center. Make sure if you have not registered, you should register immediately. With us today, we have Mr. Siggy Naidu. He's the Chief Operating Officer of GLAD Africa. He's one of the speakers at conference, and he's going to talk about coaching for personal development at the conference. Welcome, Siggy.
Thank you, Evan. Good morning to the listeners as well.
Siggy, let's just start with your background. What kind of background do you have, and how did you get into this coaching business?
Even so, my background is I've got an undergraduate in quantity surveying with an MSc in project management. I've been in the construction industry for more than 25 years. I've worked for a listed construction company for many years. Left them, started my own business for 10 years, and since then has joined the GLAD Africa Group. So from my experience in the construction industry per se, we find that because of the nature of the industry, because of the complexities in the industry, we find that in education we've got a long way to go. I feel that the construction industry is one of those industries, because of the nature and the cyclical nature of the industry from an economy point of view, the boom and bust scenario that we go through, that education tends to suffer, especially when it comes to personal development and more so around management training. And this is the one space in our industry where I believe we need a lot more focus. So over the years, I have been doing coaching on an informal basis. I've been mentoring over a long period of time. There's obviously a huge difference between mentoring and coaching, and we can chat about that later. But in the coaching space particularly, it's a very new space for South Africa in general. It's even newer for the construction industry. And that is where my interests lie. I believe that there's huge opportunity for coaching, and it's definitely a requirement for our industry.
Very unusual. A quantity surveyor into coaching. I think that's a great idea, and I think it'll go a long way in developing the industry. And you must be a registered member with SACP CMP.
Oh yes, I am. I've been a registered member for a long time, and I enjoy being a member of SAC CMP.
Oh.
And yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's good. Have you attended any of our conferences?
Oh yes, I was there in the recent one. So yeah, the last couple of years I've been attending your conferences. I must say I must compliment the team in terms of what you put together. I've really received a lot of benefit from the conference, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next one again.
I'm glad we're glad to host you again. Okay, let's talk about coaching in the workplace. We're looking at coaching in the workplace and coaching on a personal level. Let's talk about coaching in the workplace in general. Why is it so important to have coaching in the workplace?
Let's start about maybe talking about what is coaching. I mean, what does coaching really entail?
Yes.
And then maybe I can touch on the difference between coaching and mentoring as well, to help explain the benefits of coaching and where does it really fit in, and how does it fit in. So coaching per se is about bringing about change, personal change.
Yes.
And if I can use the word, it unlocks potential within someone. So coaching is about bringing about change within someone. And I'm really trying very hard to stay away from the theoretical descriptions and the book knowledge.
Yes.
So I'm trying to be as practical as possible. And the difference between coaching and mentoring. So mentoring is when one works with someone who is an expert in the same field. So a quantity surveyor will work with another quantity surveyor, and an architect will work with another architect. And in the mentor's case, the mentor is normally a senior person, much more experienced, and wants to share that knowledge and experience with the mentee. In coaching, it's different. So in coaching, what we do, the coach will have various competencies that the coachee wants to improve. Right? So the coach will work with the coachee to improve the coachee, and not to work on the problem areas.
Yes.
And the whole idea with coaching is to prepare the individual to be able to self-correct, to prepare the individual to identify what are his or her problem areas and to self-correct over time. So from a coaching program point of view, it's a short-term intervention, where mentorship is a very long-term intervention. So in the workplace, if we can speak generally, right? So in our workplace, we've got the various disciplines in the construction world. And each of those disciplines are experts in our own field. I
Yes.
mean, the QAs, the architect, the engineer, mechanical, civil or electrical engineer, they know their field. There's no doubt about it. From a technical space, there's no problem. However, from a management space, that's where we find become short. And for me today, yes, technical is important, but I believe that the bigger part of today's work environment is management around people, stakeholder management. And that's an area I believe we come short. So that's an area where a lot of intervention is required.
So Siggy, it's the coaching part develops the personality, the person as a whole.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So coaching works on the individual, and in a lot of cases, a lot of individuals will know where do I need help. For example, an individual will say, I am having difficulty in working with my supervisor. I am having difficulty in getting my subordinates to deliver on their deliverables.
Yes.
I'm struggling to engage with my client.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that a coach will come up and say, please help me with those areas. And then we will look towards the coachee internally. What do we have to change or shift inside the coachee to allow the coachee then to deal with those issues on his or her own? And that's how the coaching program normally works.
Oh, I see. That's very interesting. And mentorship, would you say it goes hand in hand with coaching, or would you say they work independently of each other?
So in the work environment, there's definitely a place for mentorship, no doubt, in South Africa in particular, and more so in our industry. And there's a big space and room for mentorship. Coaching and mentorship can work side by side. So typically, when an individual comes to me and says, I need help, I can do the assessment. And the assessment will say the person will need coaching, mentoring, or even therapy, or counseling if you like.
Counseling, yeah.
And a good coach will identify what he or she can and cannot do. And a good coach will say to the individual, I think you need a mentor. So this is maybe the way to go and find a mentor, and let's go down that route. However, whilst you're working with a mentor, we can do coaching at the same time. And a good coach should be able to work with the mentor and maybe counsel as well at the same time.
Oh,
And that's the difference with a good coach. And I always encourage coaches to be upfront with the coachee, to say, I can help you, or I can't help you, and maybe to point them in the right direction.
Interesting. And there's a shortage of mentors. I just want to talk about mentorship. There's a huge shortage of mentors in the industry. Why do you think that is so?
It's interesting that we talk about shortage when we have got so many people in our industry.
Exactly.
From a senior point of view. We have people that's retired, and the question one must ask, what is holding them back from coming forward to share? And even people naturally are inclined to share.
Yes.
I think the humanity is such that we are, from a first basis point of view, we want to help each other. And I always wonder what's holding us back. And maybe that's something that one must look to do between, I think, the institute and industry.
Yes.
Maybe is there sufficient encouragement? Is there sufficient platforms for people to go? Or is it a case that people don't know where to go? I have no doubt that there are plenty of people sitting at home, retired, who wants to do something, probably doesn't know where to go, doesn't know where to start. And they want to help on the one side. At the same time, I also would like to believe that our educational institutions, as part of the training program, are introducing mentorship to the undergraduates. So when
That's
they come
an
through the
excellent idea.
program, they understand there is mentorship, there's coaching, there's counseling at the minimum. So when they have a problem that they want to resolve or they want to build a competence, they know where to go. So a lot of times they're not maybe reaching out, not because they don't want to, because they don't know how. So for me, it's a combination of maybe the educational institutions and the employer helping the individual, and those who can offer a service needs to know where to go. And then if the three stakeholders together with the institution can come together, I believe we can create a library of mentors.
Yes. Absolutely. And if we have the mentorship going, and if we have the coaching going simultaneously, I think it's a basis for a much better and improved industry.
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at it, I mean, our country is poised for good times. There's no doubt about it. We're in a recession at the moment. Our growth rate is very low. When the growth rate increases, we're going to need the expertise. We're going to need the people. We're going to need the resources. And together with that, we're going to need the training. And the big part of the training, besides the tertiary and the technical training, is the management training. And the only way we're going to unlock that potential is through a combination of the various forms of training and the various forms of coaching and mentorship and counseling that goes hand in hand.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. And is coaching fairly new to South Africa? Where did it start? How did it commence?
So coaching is very new. I think coaching is a worldwide phenomenon. It's been around for a long time, but in South Africa particularly, it's still very new. And even a lot of people don't even understand what is coaching all about, let alone where to go.
Yes.
So, I mean, from my side, I mean, that's where the interest really lie, is to, besides doing the actual coaching, I really want to sensitize South Africans to coaching in general. Apart from doing one-on-one coaching. So from my side, I'm trying to use as many platforms as possible to make people aware of coaching, to sensitize people, broadly speaking, to coaching, because coaching is just not a workplace phenomena, meaning that when one works with a coachee, one changes the individual permanently for the better. And the new individual can apply that new skills across the board in family, home, church, temple, or even at work. And that's a big benefit of coaching, whereas mentoring is specific, work specific, it's discipline specific. That's the big difference.
Yes.
So for me, the realization can be across the board, and I'm encouraging employers to recognize the value of coaching. We just recently introduced coaching to our company, and it's taking off incredibly. And we are amazed now that people are aware of what coaching means, that they're coming forward, because, like I said earlier, most people know what are the areas that they would like help with. Most people know where they want to be and they know what direction they want to go. They just don't know how to get there.
Okay.
So once people become sensitized and aware of what mentoring and coaching does, they can then step up and reach out for that kind of services.
Thank you. Don't go back. We're just taking a quick ad break and we'll be back soon.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Whether you're an athlete or just going about your day-to-day business, use TurboFreeze on the go for any pain relief or inflammation. It's the #1 pain relief formula. To find out more, log on to our website www.turbofreeze.co.za.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back. We in studio talking to Mr. Siggy Naidu, who is a speaker at our conference. We're talking about coaching for personal development. Siggy, let's come back to this coaching. What is the process? How does one go through a process of coaching?
Okay. Even as I've mentioned earlier, in most cases, an individual will know in which areas he or she needs help. That's one side. Or the organization or employer could say to an individual, you need help in a particular area from a performance improvement point of view. Or it could be a case that someone is promoted and needs help with a new area of work. So from that point of view, coaching then starts and is introduced. So one would then look for a coach that works with an individual, right? Maybe to answer the question, what kind of coach would one find?
Yes.
In coaching, it's critical that there's a connection between the coach and the coachee.
Yes.
There's an emotional bond that starts. So typically how it would unfold, the coachee would meet the coach for the first time. It's what we call an intake session. Another word would be a meet and greet.
Yes, yes.
And that's not the formal coaching program yet. At the intake session, there'll be a test to see this chemistry between the coach and the coachee. Meaning, can we get on? Is there a level of trust? Can we communicate with each other?
That's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is critical there is the coachee comfortable with the coach. Because in the coaching program, unlike a mentorship, it is about personal development, meaning the coachee will share personal information about his or her life. And the coachee must be in a comfortable space to be able to share that.
Yes.
And from my experience in a coaching program, people share very, very personal information.
Yeah.
So the coachee must be totally convinced that the person who's coaching me will keep that confidential.
Yes.
So back in our office, even though I'm the chief operating officer in the company, I coach a few people. And I need to convince them that whatever they share with me will stay there.
Yes.
That is not shared outside that space, and doesn't go beyond that space. So that's the first part of the coaching program, is the meet and greet, and we call it an intake.
Okay.
The next part is to understand what are the possibilities with this individual, meaning what are the areas that they need help with, what are the blockages, what are the breakdowns,
Yeah.
what inside the coachee needs to shift or change to overcome these areas. How do I build these competencies? That's the second phase of the coaching program. The third phase is what we call coaching for action,
Okay.
meaning we now understand what are the areas we want to work with. Now, how can we work with the coachee to bring about that change? And in the coaching program, it's all a lot about doing.
Yes.
It's shifting from thinking to doing. That's a big difference, number one. And number two is to connect the cognitive, the somatic, and the emotional. So in coaching, we promote the idea that there's a language in the body.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people think with our heads only, if I can put it simplistically.
Yes. Yes.
And we're saying to them, connect with your body. If I can use one example, or maybe two examples. So when we feel nervous, where do we feel the nervousness? In our tummy, in our gut.
Yes. Yes.
And we say that is the body telling us something. So let's recognize that. When someone has an emotional breakdown or someone's partner breaks up, they feel it in the chest. So we say in coaching that the body has got a language. If we can connect the body and the mind, excuse me, the body and the head,
Yes.
then that is called holistic coaching, integral coaching.
Right. Right.
So in coaching, we work with a coachee to make that connection between the cognitive, the somatic, and the emotional. And that's how we bring about a change. So a typical coaching program on average would be 12 sessions. A coaching program is not permanent. Unlike a mentorship program, which is over many years sometimes,
Yes.
a coaching program is a short-term duration, a short-term intervention, and the idea, like I said earlier, is to get the coachee at the end of the program to identify, I need to make a change, and then to self-correct.
Yes.
And if the coachee can self-correct at the end of the program, then that's been a successful coaching program, and then the coach can exit.
Yes. And then the coachee has got to use those tools that he's been given
Yes.
to take this forward and to improve his life. Is that
Absolutely. And again, the outcome and the objective of coaching is to leave the skill sets with a coachee for life.
Yes.
Meaning a coachee can use that skill set in any part of his or her life. And this is just not work. So it may happen sometimes that when one coaches someone at work, that person leaves a particular employer,
Yes.
because one helps the coach to overcome certain competencies and to grow certain competencies, and the coach may realize, I am in the wrong place, so I need to move. So the whole idea of coaching is to build skill sets for life.
Yes.
Skill sets I can use at home, family, church, temple, or work.
Are there different kinds of coaching?
In coaching, when one trains to be a coach, right, one learns to use various models. Okay, and I am the first one to say that I prefer not to talk about the various models, and I'll say why.
Yes.
Because every individual's coaching is different.
Different.
Meaning, every individual brings a different set of competencies they want to build to the coaching program, and the models are one that will then allow one not to cross the boundary with the individual.
Yes.
Meaning if I stick to the models, I may not have the right coaching program. The models sit in the background. There are various models that we can use, but the models sit in the background. And it's at the moment when I'm coaching the individual that will then determine what program I use. So it's very difficult to say there's one model for every single program.
Yes.
That's not the case. And what is critical, if I may, even, is that from a coach's point of view, the skills that a coach must have is not the models. The skills that a coach needs is one, listening.
Yes.
A good coach listens very well to the coachee.
Yes.
And here we talk about deep listening. The coach is looking for signs. The coach is looking for clues. Even the language that the coachee uses will give us a clue of where we are and where we want to be.
And the body language.
The body language is big. You're absolutely right. I mean, as I look at you, I can see that glow in you.
Yes.
I can see that happiness in you.
Okay.
And that helps with the coaching.
Yes.
You can see when a coachee is sad. You can see when a coachee uses a certain word, the body language says something differently.
Yes.
And you can see the disconnect. So a coach, the first one is the listening skill. The second one, which is critical, is the ability to ask questions. A good coach will ask more questions than anything else.
Yes.
And the other one is a good coach will not offer advice. A good coach will help the coachee to arrive at the place where they want to be. I mean, very often in work we find a situation where a staff member will come to his or her supervisor and say, I've got a problem. Very often the supervisor will offer the solution. And that's the mistake.
Yes.
A good supervisor will help that staff member to discover the solution for his or herself. And the way to do that is to ask the right questions.
Yes.
And allow the staff member to think through to the answer. Because by doing that, we prepare the staff member for the next crisis, for the next breakthrough, and we prepare the staff member to be stronger in his or her field over a longer period of time. If I to keep on providing an answer to someone, that staff member will never grow.
Yes.
And will forever come to me.
Yeah.
And my team will forever stay in the same space.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, okay. And there is coaching for personal life as well as business life. Tell us a little bit about personal life.
When I coach individuals and they come to me, I actually start off with personal life.
Okay.
Very often I say to the coachee, let's talk through where you are now. So in coaching is a lot about where you are now.
Yes.
Not about yesterday. And it will lead to the future, but it's about where the coach is now. So every coaching session is about where's the coachee now and how are you arriving. And when you arrive as an individual, not as an employee, not as an engineer or QS or an architect.
Yes, yes.
And the coaching program spends a lot of time on your personal side, because it's a change in your personal being that we are bringing about. How do you feel? How do you connect internally? What can you do in the meantime to bring about your change? So you're right, the coaching is significant in the personal space. And if we can bring about the change in the personal space, we bring about the change in the individual for life, and the benefit is to the employer. The benefit is to home and community.
Yes.
So personal space is a space we spend a lot of time. Our coaching program deals mainly with personal space.
Interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation we're going to have at conference.
Absolutely.
And we're looking forward to it. And thank you very much for your time. And good luck to you with all your efforts.
Even thank you very much, and I'm also looking forward to it.
Ah, great. I'm sure you're making a huge difference out there.
Thank
and we
you.
want to promote that at conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za